Welcome back to What She Said Sports. All right. You up? It is the late night sports update. We follow up, we talk about some hot topics that may have happened since the last time we got together. And there are two topics tonight that I want to talk about. One is the Colorado Buffaloes. Hey, Tina, welcome back. Welcome back. And the other, I'm going to save that just in case we don't get to it. Okay, so the Big 12 Media Day is fast approaching July 8th and 9th, which is next week. I know y'all say Coach Prime will be back next week, but the Big 12 Media Day is where? In Dallas, in Frisco, at the Dallas Star, at Jerry Jones Complex, Jerry Jones House. What? Now, I find that very, very interesting. One of the things we talked about following the draft is we don't have any idea how Coach Prime going to move forward with certain people, including Tom Brady and Jerry Jones. And here it is. Big 12 Media Day is at the Star. The Star. Jerry Jones spot. What do y'all make of that? So let me know in the comments what y'all think about Colorado's Big 12 Media Day taking place in Frisco at Jerry Jones spot in Jerryland after the draft. So I was thinking, we talked about this the other day. I said, oh, I know they probably exchanged a text or two, Coach Prime. That says a lot to me. Now, I don't know when it was planned. I feel like last year's media day, am I wrong? But was it in Vegas? Where was the last media day for Colorado? I feel like it was in Vegas, but I could be wrong. But this one, after the draft, is in Dallas, in Frisco, at Jerry Jones Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters campus that we have talked about extensively. We had the Big 12 Pro Day over there. So Big 12 Media Day is there as well. Maybe Coach Prime had nothing to do with it. Maybe that's where the Big 12 wanted to have it. And Colorado is a member of the Big 12, so we had to show up over there. And we are taking 5 buffs with us. We taking 2 of our quarterbacks. We're taking what? Caden, and we're taking Juju. And congratulations to Caden. He has secured an 88. He has a very high rating in is that college football 25? Yeah, college football 25. So that's pretty good for Caden, who, along with Juju, will be 2 of 5 buffs to go to Big 12 Media Day. Then we have Alejandro Mata will be there. And from defense, we have DJ McKinney. And then from the offensive line, we have Jordan Seaton. So that kind of wraps up who your leaders are. But we didn't take any wide receivers with us. We took 2 quarterbacks and an offensive lineman. But we didn't take any wide receivers from our exceptional wide receiver core. And one person I think we would have taken with us is who? Would it be Omarion or would it be Draylon Miller? We didn't take either one. Now, I don't look at it like it's a snub. There's a reason why Coach Prime wanted to take both of our quarterbacks. But I think if we had only taken one quarterback, we would have taken one of our wide receivers. So there's a reason for this. I don't know what it is, but I find it very, very interesting that the Buffs are headed to Jerry World after the draft. Yep, I find it very interesting. So this will be one of those moments that I said it'll be interesting to see how Coach Prime reacts around some of the people that he knew personally, like Jerry Jones, that sat silently as his son was basically kicked around, right, by the NFL during the draft. And nobody came to his rescue in the same manner that Ozzie Newsome came to Lamar Jackson's rescue. So that's that, right? Um, let's see what y'all saying. I'm looking at the comments already. Let me see what y'all saying in the comments. All right, so hey Blue Moon, how you doing? Let's see. It says, "Hey, how you doing? Who's that? 1922. How you doing? How you doing?" Charlotte said, "Hey, how you doing? I don't think he will show up." I don't know. I thought they said he was gonna be back next week. And when they say he's gonna be back, that's the first event. And that might be a contractual obligation. I would imagine the head coach has to be at Big 12 Media Day. So Charlotte, we shall see. Charlotte says she don't think Coach Prime gonna show up at Big 12 Media Day. I don't like it. The last one was in Vegas. So see, there you go. Thank you, Gracie. The last pro day. And that's not just for us, right? That's for Big 12. That's for everybody. The last one was in Vegas, and this one is in Dallas. So it's essentially forcing Coach Prime to go to Jerry World. Charlotte said, "Yep, it was Vegas." Tina said, "I just watched the Well Off video with Lil Wayne." Yep, I watched it. Some of that too. It's a good video. You know, Coach Prime looks skinny though. You can see he looked tall and he looks slim. I'm not used to Coach Prime, like his legs look slim. So I'm sure he's working back to, getting back healthy, probably a lot of protein that there, he's getting. He was walking just fine, had no issues walking. There were outlets speculating that he was having issues, long-term health issues just cropping up again chronically. Doesn't seem to be the case. Up, walking around, no limping, looked comfortable walking around, wasn't moving slow. I mean, he wasn't running either, but there was no need to run. So to me, that video rules out that he was having any issues with his feet or whatever, right? He was walking around just fine. If y'all saw it, y'all let me know what y'all think. Did y'all, if you saw the video, like Tina said, did you notice any issues with him walking? Because I did not. I did not. Tina say I wouldn't want to entertain it, but who am I? I know that's right. Cause I feel like, wait a minute, why we gotta go to the Star? But see, they just had the Big 12 Pro Day, and now they have the Big 12 Media Day out there. So I guess they're not going back to Vegas. It said after the front page of the newspaper, we gonna walk back up to the church. Oh, okay, Blue. Like, yep, that's what we gonna do. After the headlines, we gotta go back up to the church. Okay, I get it. Queen T said, "Oh, hey, Queen T, welcome, welcome, welcome." Gracie said, "Tina, I'm with you." The Watchman, hey, how you doing? Welcome back. It said Jerry Jones gonna use the excuse he pays Dak Prescott 60 million a year and can't afford to draft another QB. You already know this. I think he said he didn't need another quarterback because remember, right before the draft, Joe Milton, who was number two, QB2 behind Drake May, got sent to Dallas. That was blocking Shador. Vegas blocked Shador. Yeah, Jerry Jones told, what did he tell Shador when they were in New Orleans? Yep. It to me, he was brushing him off. He was like, yep, we're going to have to do a lot of trading. Coach Prime, Dion, that's mine. Prime, that's mine. So he went instantly from talking with Shador very quickly, saying, yep, we're going to have to do a lot of trading. In other words, it ain't going to happen. And they didn't have to get Joe Milton. They could have left that spot open, went to the draft. If anything popped up like it did, and he really gave a damn, he could have got Shador and made him QB2 behind that. But see, that's how you know this is not team by team decision. This was not a team decision. This was a league decision. The same league that sent out his phone number to 2,000 people with a waiver wire via email and lied about it. Lied on the Atlanta Falcons. And that never came back to clear that up. So there you go. Tina said those people will turn their hate off and on. Jerry was involved too. Yeah, they all were. Same with Tom Brady. They all were. They all did what they were told to do. They went along with the plan. I don't know who hatched it, but I'm gonna go ahead on and put Cleveland in there. I'm gonna put the Giants in there, and the rest of them went along with it because it came from the league itself, which is why Commissioner Roger Goodell told Shador what? I'm worried about your dad. And he was like, wait, what? I bet that plays back in his head every now and then. CP balance was good. Right, Blue Moon. CP had no issues. Coach Prime had no issues. So people who are trying to speculate and act like he wasn't negatively affected by what happened in the draft, you know why they're doing that, right? They're actually trying to say and downplay what took place in the draft could have affected him too. Remember, that's already a fan suing for emotional distress, and now I got Coach Prime losing 15 to 20 pounds. That strengthens the case. And that sets him up for his own case. So if they want to cut Shador and Shiloh, they probably gonna learn some things. And to me, that's what Coach Prime said. It's time for a different approach. And then he went on to what? He went on. What's that guy's name? He went on his podcast. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I don't know who he is, but I remember his name. He went on his podcast, and from that forward, he hasn't been hiding what he's been going through. And that's what was needed. Let them see what they did. So somebody can hold them accountable, because how am I gonna be hold somebody accountable if I act like everything's okay? It's not a big deal. See, you can't do that. And maybe they thought that he would keep it to himself. And then Shador getting the 2 speeding tickets, it showed that this family was negatively affected. So that's why the media was speculating about Coach Prime. They said he hasn't been to see you since April or something like that. And I was like, okay, I don't know. But they were speculating, well, it's probably his long-term health issues with his feet. No, it's not. And they trying to find out what it is. It said Tina said he felt like she had a subtle limp, but he's looking better. It said Coach Prime should stay home and don't step into the den of iniquity. So you don't think he should go to the start? Yep. It sounds like y'all saying he gonna be back next week, and that's next week, the 8th. Today is the 3rd, so that's definitely next week. Tina said Coach Prime should stay home. Asante Sanders, that's his name. Thank you. So when he was on Asante Sanders podcast, that was giving people the first glimpse into what he had been going through. And I don't know why they didn't think that that would happen, but maybe they felt like, since they know who Coach Prime is, he's not the kind of person to let people see him down. That's what they were counting on, right? Which is why you have the media who's messy speculating. So we're taking 5 players to the Big 12 Pro Day. I think Coach Prime will be there. I am shocked that it is at the Star. I do find that very interesting after the draft. And we're taking 2 quarterbacks. So that's what the media finds interesting. They feel like taking 2 quarterbacks signals we don't know what to do. I'm like, maybe we taking 2 quarterbacks because we good either way. That's how I see it. We're good either way. We do believe that Caden is going to start. We do believe we're gonna see Juju play. If he was uncertain, he would have took. Hell, we got 5 quarterbacks. Did y'all know that? Jerry sent me the roster. We could look at that probably later on. And I was looking over the roster, and I kept seeing QB after QB. I'm like, I think we have 4 or 5 quarterbacks. So there's some other guys on the roster, we didn't take them. That means we're good either way. That means we're solid now and in the future. To me, that's what it means. Let me know your thoughts, but that's what it means to me. It said, who can he trust after the draft? Right. Nobody. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Now one thing about Frisco is not too far from Canton. It said he don't have to travel to another state. I don't know if he's gonna go back to see you first. And then they all make the trip together to Frisco, but he right there in Dallas anyway, so I don't know why he would do that. But I can't imagine the first time they see Coach Prime in a while is in Frisco, and they all show up from Boulder. So I don't know how it's gonna go. I haven't seen any of the other coaches doing interviews. I follow Coach Polak. He just puts out stuff that he wants to put out about the offense and stuff like that, which is good. But I haven't seen the likes of the Marshall Falk or any of the other coaches. I'm assuming they're on vacation, and because they're not back, it's not a big deal that Coach Prime is not back. That's what I'm thinking. Because I haven't seen anybody else. I still see them do. Well, I haven't seen them do strength and conditioning. Why? Because they're on a break. I saw McNeil back in. Was he back in Texas working out? Oh no, he back in Atlanta. So some of the players posted themselves. McNeil is back in Atlanta working out. Draylon Miller took some nice photos. I shared them on X. He looked like he was on the beach, but he was dressed like he got boots on the ground. He had on a cowboy hat or something with some overalls and some boots, and I saw some four wheelers, and I thought it looked like the beach. So I don't know. He was somewhere. Juju bought himself a cowboy hat. It was nice. Looked like he had it made, and it appears that he got him a grill, top and bottom full grill. Um, the jeweler posted it and said Julian Lewis 6 days later. So it looked like he get himself ready. He looked like a lot of his character and personality are coming out. And I don't know if y'all remember, but when Juju was graduating, remember he was riding in the car with Darius, and they would get ready for the interview or just talking points for the interview. And Yahoo Sports was the outlet that said that Juju snubbed Shador, talking about I don't have it like that. I'm just high schooler or something like that. And here he is, get him a cowboy hat and full on top and bottom grill. I was like, see, y'all don't know these players. You looking for something, and they were looking for a reason to kind of try to tear Juju away. And I feel like we're gonna always see Juju around because the first time that Coach Prime is like has to make a decision and you don't hear about Juju, what you think gonna happen? Honestly, what do you think is gonna happen? I mean, it benefits Juju to be around all of this. It benefits him to be ready, right? Because anything can happen. Caden can get hurt. We need somebody else. We have two quarterbacks that are good to go. So while it benefits Juju, it also is pest control. You know what I mean? It's pest control because the moment that they just see Caden and they don't see Juju, they're gonna try. It's pest control. It's repellent. In other words, he's actively engaged. In other words, no need to come for him because you think he's just sitting there on his hands on the bench because he's so young. No, he's living his life. He got his number. His dad thanked Coach Prime because that means a lot. He's acclimated in the Colorado. We got him a hat, got him a grill. He getting ready to be himself. He's living independently, meaning his family doesn't live there, and he seems to be doing just fine. Says a lot. I don't know if that would be the case if he was at USC in such an environment. I have no idea. But we do know that things worked out better for Travis at CU. He wouldn't have played both ways at Florida State. He probably wouldn't even been the Heisman. So it was good that he resisted, the money and stayed and look at where he is now. Right? He got it all by going to CU. They only snubbed him out of one award. Now he in the NFL, and his contract says he's a two-way player, which is what Travis wanted. And he got his signing bonus paid up front. Again, Coach Prime. So Juju being around, learning, doing all of this, bringing him into the fold now rather than, hey, sit back, wait your turn, I think is a good approach. Not naming a starter just yet, it just goes with the theatrics, in my opinion. Unless somebody grades is slipping or something like that. Um, I feel like we know who it is. I don't think it's a competition. I just think Coach Prime is keeping Juju, ready. In other words, why leave him behind? He needs to experience this because he gonna be the only one next year. Ryan Staub, I think, will be gone as well as Caden next year. So like on the job training, that's kind of what it's like. So Juju and Caden. Now DJ McKinney is going to Big 12. Now y'all already heard DJ McKinney is supposedly a first round draft pick. I don't know who said it, but I know it was said. So is Jordan Seaton, who's going to Big 12 Pro Day, and Alejandro Mata. I think that's perfect because Mata been down since Jackson State. He's an integral part of the team, right? That's family, familiar, right? And for him, uh, to be taken under Coach Prime's wing and his family to thank Coach Prime, and he's getting his just due as being out front and center. Because why? It's gonna be his time to go to the next level, wherever that is. It's no guarantee on where that is right now, but we know he's going to the next level. So I like it. DJ McKinney, that tells you he's our leader On defense, that's what that says to me. It tells you that Seaton is the leader for the O line. Mata is the leader when it comes to kickers, etc. And we got two quarterbacks who gonna be ready. What do y'all think about the whole two quarterback thing at Big 12 Media Day? What do y'all think about that? So I think it's good. Somebody said that. Oh, that's I know who it was. That's my next topic. Okay, so do y'all know who Wale is? Wale is a rapper, right? And he was just on Cam Newton's podcast. I think fourth and one, where Cam was sitting down, might be the Cam Newton, where he have his sit down conversation, similar to what Shannon Sharp has, right? Um, and Wale made the comment because they were talking about Shador black quarterbacks. I want to commend Cam for speaking out, right? Wale made the comment that you know, when it comes to like the NFL and things like that, how he played ball. So he kind of could see that they want you to be different when you a quarterback. You know, that whole stay humble, which is actually condescending because they don't tell that to white quarterbacks, right? In other words, we don't want to see you shine. You know, we want you to step and fetch it. So Cam Newton's podcast, the caption read, Cam Newton, I think, let me see exactly what it said. I don't want to misspeak. It says Cam Newton exposes bias against black quarterbacks. Now he's not on ESPN anymore. He's on his own platform. He's probably one of the few that have said it that way. And he's a black quarterback. And I've pointed out many times, if anybody will know, it's Cam, right? Cam talked about on this interview with Wale how when he came into the league, he was one of the only very, very, very few black quarterbacks. Russell Wilson said the same thing, but Cam pointed out something, right? He did talk about how they expect you to move different when you're a quarterback, meaning the whole thing about what Warren Moon said about you can't act like a cornerback. You a quarterback, you different, you the face of the league. But what about Manziel, right? How do they conveniently overlook things like Manziel? How do you overlook that and say that Shador was acting like a cornerback? And what about the quarterback Baker Mayfield? What he used to do to the audience, grab his what, right? How do they conveniently forget about that? So I do applaud Cam for his caption. But however, Cam is Cam. While he's willing to put it out there in a caption, he's still gonna find a little hate. And Wale was asking him, what was he crazy? Because they got on the subject of these Madden ratings. And Shador had a low Madden rating, but he didn't have a low college football 25 rating. He had like a 93. Caden has like a 88. And Cam wanted to talk about that. And Wale, uh, they were talking about Shador running the 40. They were talking about Shador running the 40. And he said, well, his 40 speed don't really matter because he's not going full on sprint when he getting out the pocket. So Cam was trying to say he was slow. And he gave him like a 60 Madden rating, which is low. And Wale called him on it and said, bro, you going to have to think about that. Nah, he better than that. He like a 70 something. And Cam was like, well, I mean, that's a C minus. He said, man, he not making a full on sprint. He just getting out of there to get to the sideline, etc. Right? And I was like, there go Cam. He come in with the best of intentions, but when the subject gets to Shador, he cannot help himself. He cannot. He even went back to that. Some people just not gonna like you, right? He can't help himself. When it's like he's going down a highway, but when as soon as the subject of Shador come out, he veer right off and crash out. So Wale was like, no, you have to give him a 70 something. And even if you think that's a C minus, it's okay. He was trying to say Shador's speed and Brady's speed are the same. I'm like, I don't know what the hell y'all are looking at. But Shador cannot be the most accurate passer and have no speed. He got to keep up with the receivers. This man throws his receivers open, which means he where he's supposed to be before the receiver is there. So Cam, I like you, but it's like we watching an airplane run into a wall because we can see where the conversation is going to go the moment Shador comes up. Now I know why Shador came up because they talking about the draft. They talked about Cam too, and while they said it, Cam he not that super fast either. He said they're not that far off, right? And Cam brought up the point about being a quarterback that runs. What are you running for? Are you running just to run? Are you running to extend plays? And he mentioned about Shador running to extend plays. I'm like, but he also said that he felt like uh Shador's skill set is not modern. He was kind of alluding to the fact that Shador's skill set is outdated, which is what who said? Andrew Berry. So I was like listening to this, right? And I'm thinking, I think people make too much of Shador not being a true dual threat. And does it matter what the hell you running for? Are you running for a first down? Or are you running to extend the plays? Shador, if we just want to be honest, is a mix of Brady for obvious reasons, because he was trained by Brady, Jaden Daniels, and Pat Mahomes. It don't get no better than that. If Shador's skills were truly outdated, he would have never been a first round draft projection by the NFL and everybody else. So see, that's Cam dipping his feet into the negative when it comes to Shador because that's what he does. And that's why I'm glad Wale was there and called him out. It was like, no, 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 no. He not that slow like Brady. You can't do that. And people started calling Cam out in the comments and say Cam can't help but hate on Shador. He can't. Somebody say he hate all the young quarterbacks. I don't really know. But he was trying to compare Jaden Daniels to Lamar Jackson to see if Jaden Daniels is taking over where Lamar is concerned. I'm like, why can't they just coexist? You don't have to see all of that comparison. It's like saying there can only be one. And see, Cam, like he said, when he came in, he was technically the only one, or one of the very few. Russell Wilson said the same thing. But this is what Cam also said, that this proves what I've been talking about 17 to 32. Cam actually said, when I came into the league, I was like one of the very few, if not like only, and he mean probably starting quarterbacks, right? You know what he said? He said, "What's the quarterback name in Denver?" He said, "What's my guy name?" And Wale said, "Jared Goff." He said, "He's now the minority." That's it. That's it. They see it. They see it. If Cam can call it out on his own podcast, and we know how he was treated. And he said he was one of the few. And he can sit there and say, when he came in, he was the minority. But now Jared Goff is the minority. And he's right. If you look at the top five quarterbacks, three out of two, 3 out of 5 are black. If you go to the top 10 and you start looking at 7, 8, 9, 10, black, 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 black. That's what I mean when I say 17 to 32, because they don't want these guys to be the majority. If they gave Cam a hard time and he was essentially, according to him, like one of the few, or he was the minority, what the hell you think they're going to do when black QBs are at the majority? Because they knocking at the door. That's what this draft was about. So I applaud Cam for using the caption and calling out the bias against black quarterbacks, because that conversation needs to be had. Just like the conversation I told y'all that some guys were having, two black guys were having about Georgia and how they don't have no black quarterbacks, right? And those conversations, meaning at the college level and bias against black quarterbacks at certain college, at the college level, and at the NFL, is a serious conversation that needs to be had. And Cam pointed out, he said, I don't think Shador knew the lay of the land. Meaning, He didn't know it was like that. And people say Coach Prime failed him. No, he didn't, because Coach Prime ain't a quarterback. Coach Prime not a quarterback. And when he was in the league, he wasn't. What was it? Donovan McNabb. Coach Prime retired in 2005, so Michael Vick was leaving. And Cam said the same thing. Michael Vick was on the way out, or on the way in, or something like that. I think no, he said Michael Vick was on the way out when I came around, 2010, something like that. Cam is one of the few people I have heard put it together who actually is a part of the NFL to actually say, hands down, there is bias against black quarterbacks. Of course, I said, but I'm not a part of the NFL. It needs to be said by former players to negate what Warren Moon is saying about Shador. He said, I don't think he knew the lay of the land. And this is the next topic. The lay of the land is if you a black quarterback, you got to move a certain way. Why you got to be different than anybody else? White quarterbacks get to move however they want to. But if you a black quarterback, you have to shut up, sit down, close your mouth, and listen. That is what two reporters have said about Shador in Cleveland. One is Mary Cabot. Another one is some man who was interviewed by some podcast. And people got on him and told him to shut the hell up because this is 2025. We are not in the shut up and dribble era. That's what they're wanting to do. Mary Cabot even said that about another player who's black for Cleveland. But then they went on to praise Carson Schlesinger, who they say can start. Shador got to compete. Cam got to compete. And Miro got to sit. So I applaud Cam Newton for using the caption, there's bias in the NFL about black quarterbacks. It was about as vanilla as you could get, but it sent the message. Now, his conversation kind of went left a bit with Shador, and Wale reeled him back in, but he did speak the truth and say that when you're a black quarterback, they want you to be different, but not different in a good way. They want you to be submissive. That's what he meant by different. And he needs to say that. They all need to say that. And he's right. Jared Goff is the minority. Now, he says Shador was the minority in terms of his skill set. And I'm like, I don't know how the hell he the minority in terms of his skill set. He mean because he's not a pocket passer, right? I mean, he's not a dual threat, but he has mobility. They didn't. Donovan McNabb was not labeled a dual threat. They say the first dual threat is actually Michael Vick. Dante Culpepper and Donovan McNabb, I do believe, was before Michael Vick. And neither one of them are labeled dual threats. Geno Smith, I don't think, is labeled a dual threat. Shador ran for his life. So that tells you he has mobility and he's still accurate. So I feel like when people talk about Shador's mobility, it's something that they use to hold him back because they lost on the battle that his arm is weak. Because why? He's the most accurate QB. So they lost on the battle that he taps the ball. Why? Because the greats tap the ball. They actually lost on the battle that he drifts backward out the pocket because all of them do, including Drew Brees. So all they have to go on is his mobility. And I don't know how you can say that because if a quarterback is throwing his receivers open, he got to where he's supposed to be, and then he throws them open, and they get where they gotta go. So I give Cam a C minus. I give him a for effort for using the language. The NFL has bias against black quarterbacks, but I do give him a D for saying Shador didn't know the lay of the land. They want quarterbacks to be different. They want quarterbacks, black quarterbacks, to be submissive. And when you say different, people don't know what you mean. People might think you mean dress a certain way. They might mean answer questions in the media. They don't know what you mean when you say different. So you have to call it what it is. You came close. You came up to the door and said the NFL has bias against black quarterbacks. Now tell us what they want black quarterbacks to be. They're being biased for a reason. They want black quarterbacks to be submissive, and apparently Shador didn't know that because I guess he would have had to play the game. But maybe it was best that he be himself so we can see who they really are. Because this is 2025, trying to make black men be submissive, and you think that they have lower cognitive functioning means you got a problem. So in hindsight, as painful as it is, it's good that the truth is being exposed. But we need more people like Cam who actually were in the NFL, who has the courage to say the NFL is biased against black quarterbacks. And then go on and say the lay of the land is they expect you to be submissive while they don't demand submission from their white quarterbacks. Somebody, people on the inside need to start saying that. That is the problem. Charlotte said, "I think CP knows best." Yeah, he gonna decide what to do, whether he go or whatever. Peter said, "I like both. I like that both of them are going." Yeah, me too. Me too. I agree. I don't have an issue with it. I just feel like Coach Prime knows how to bring out the best in his players, right? And I see him setting Juju up, meaning no point leaving you behind. This gonna be you next year, so you come now, right? And you get it done. But then I have two quarterbacks. I'm good either way. I'm good either way. 22 said, "I think it's good to have two QBs at the Big 12 conference because Big 12 coaches don't know who's trained." Agree. And honestly, you see two quarterbacks at the Big 12, you try to plan your defense, you don't know who the hell you playing for. Am I planning for Caden or am I planning for Juju? Jackie said, "Hey fam, checking in. I like the idea of the two buff quarterbacks. Hit the like button, please. Yes. Hit the like button for me. There are 44 bucks. Hit the like button for me, please." I love the idea of it. I don't know if it's because I know that, when you prepare people from the future, you might as well bring them along, kind of like an intern. But he's not an intern. At the same time, we good either way. And it shows that Colorado is good now and in the future, but we good either way. So you don't know what to plan for. People gonna go watch film on Caden. Well, I guess you're gonna better go watch film on Juju. See, people say it's a competition. I don't think it is. I think they both gonna be right there. I don't think it's gonna be every other snap. No, it could be the red zone offense, like we talked about. You have a different quarterback for the red zone offense. It could be that. It could be something else that we hadn't even thought of. But one thing I know about Coach Prime, he's strategic, and everything he does makes sense in terms of the game of football. He's always elevating the game to the next level. Last year, Travis was a two-way player. Now we got two solid, dual threat, deep ball, accurate QBs. That's keeping CU at a level above the rest. I like it. It said Cam stay hating on Shador. Yeah. And Wale called him out. People like the conversation with the two and feel like Wale should be recurring because he played ball, but he keeps Cam honest. And Cam was like, "Yeah, they gonna say I'm hating on Shador." Yes, then stop. Then stop. So he gets in his own way with that. But I do give him effort for trying to have the conversation or at least using the caption so people can see it on the screen because that's the conversation we've been having. And Tina told me she was on somebody else's podcast and they don't see the bigger picture. But see, when people like Cam start calling it out, because they're like, "Oh, she don't have no credibility." But when people like Cam start calling it out, and then somebody else says it, and they use the same language, but they take it one step further, and they explain what it means when you say you don't know the lay of the land. They expect quarterbacks to be different. I've heard three different people say that. I've heard Warren Moon say, "You acted like a cornerback. You not a quarterback." But he didn't realize it didn't help you to act like a quarterback either. So that don't have nothing to do with it. But he didn't explain what that meant. Chris Carter did the same thing. These guys are upset because Shador had the audacity to be themselves while they chose to be submissive. That's all it is. Either some of them mad because these guys got NIL coming in. Primetime JJ pulled up to what OT7 in a Lambo. He don't go to UT, so that's his. His name is Primetime JJ. Let me see what they do with him when it's time for him to come out of school. Cause he in a Lambo in college, and it is his. Unless Ohio State bought it, but you know. And his valuation as a receiver is 4 million, which means he's pushing up the quarterback amount, which is 6. So y'all asked me yesterday, quarterbacks are pushing 6, receivers are 4 at these big schools. And in my opinion, Coach Prime is doing what he did last year. It shows you he had 2 talented players. He had Shador, who nobody can take away from Shador, his football IQ. Even Cam said, yeah, his IQ is probably like a 90 something. And then Wale said, yeah, he's hella accurate too, but he's slow. That don't go together. He got good IQ. He accurate, but he's slow. But this man ran for his life. That's how I know Cam didn't watch Shador play. That always becomes apparent in his conversations. And I don't know what Shador did to him. I don't think Shador did anything to him. What people were saying in the comments is he hates on all the younger quarterbacks. Could be the case, but I know he hate on Shador. So it said Cam Newton flip flops too much, fake, right? And you know it's funny, if he was on ESPN, he wouldn't even put that up there as a caption. Which points out that these guys need to do their own thing. They don't need to be on these shows who just want to keep them quiet. See, that's why they came for Shannon. Because, see, what was Shannon doing? Shannon was exposing the truth. Shannon was honest. I didn't get water, as you can see. Shannon was honest before he got to ESPN. Then it all started switching. And when he got to ESPN, he started getting all these endorsements. Look where he at now. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. Cam went to ESPN. He back. They rather Chris Carter than him. I don't know why. Maybe because he kept hating on Shador. And I was like, Cam, if you say you can't care for your kids like you used to, and you get the opportunity at ESPN, should you really be on ESPN set knowing that Stephen A is friends with Coach Prime and trying to trash his son? That's what he did, and then he was gone. And then I heard him make some remark about, ESPN. I was like, oh, he must be done. And while he's doing good, he has to learn how to remain objective when he's interviewing people and not put himself as the focal point. Anybody that's sitting in the chair gonna praise him for his football skills. Let them do it. Let them do it. You just be objective when y'all are talking about different people when they pop up, right? But again, he actually used the language, so I applaud that. But then it went off the rails. But thank God for Wale. But go watch it. It's a snippet. It's only like maybe 10 minutes. It's not that long. It's a smaller part of a bigger conversation. And tell me what you think of it. Um, but Caden, like I said, he got a good rating. They taking both players to Frisco. We'll see. Coach Prime is there again. Very interesting. Um, and yeah, that's just what I want to see. I'm like, how this gonna go, right? And Jerry Jones probably not there. Let's just be real. He probably on his yacht somewhere. It said the United Johnny United's Golden Arm Award, right? So they were trying to say he had a weak arm, even though he had won this award, and people called it out, right? So the only thing they have on him is his mobility, and the only people who say that his skills are outdated. Uh, I feel like when Cam was saying Jared Goff was like the minority now, he did say that Shador's skill set is the minority. But Cam must have overlooked the fact that they drafted 2 pocket passers in Jackson Dart and Tyler Shaw. So see, you can't use mobility against Shador. That's your argument. So why did they draft Tyler Shaw and Jackson Dart? And if they really want the modern quarterback that's a dual threat, how the hell do you push down also Jalen Milrow and sit him on the bench for 2 years? I thought we were talking about skill set. That's how you know it's not about skill set. Because 17 and 18 who were black got snubbed for 17 and 18 who were pocket passers and are less talented than both and are white. So Shout out to Cam for at least using the language. Miss anyway say his name. He can't get out of his own way. I'll say that. 22 say Cam is jealous of Shador because Shador is a better QB of throwing the ball. I really don't listen to anything Newton says. It says all black QBs didn't have to run. Shador is a QB from the neck up. Facts. And one of the things, that's well said, 22. One of the things that what's his name? Mel Kiper Jr. was trying to prove when back in February before the combine when the NFL insider said they didn't want quarterbacks like Shador. You know what Mel Kiper Jr. said? The NFL is filled with quarterbacks like Shador. So what the hell are you talking about? And that's what I was telling y'all. I'm listening to this to see if he know exactly what the hell this insider is saying. And I'm willing to bet it's probably two people that said that. At least two people. One's name is Tom Pellisorio, and the other's name is Albert Brenner or something like that. Breer. I'm willing to bet you it's one of them two. See, because Albert Breer had all the same negativity from New York. So that's who told Mel Kiper Jr. that, and Mel Kiper Jr. challenged it and said the NFL is filled with pocket passers. And what happened in the draft? They drafted two white pocket passers instead of Shador and Milrow. And I don't think Shador is a pure pocket passer. I heard Shannon Sharp say that. I disagree. We've seen Shador run too much with touchdowns or getting first downs. Hell, I've even seen Shador tackle somebody. So I don't understand why they say that, but I think it's because I don't have nothing. So that's all I have. That's how I have to devalue him. That his pocket, his skill set is outdated. When he was over there at OTAs and mandatory camp, did his skill set look outdated? Did his skill set look outdated in Cleveland at OTAs and mandatory camp? No. So I don't know what the hell they talking about. Because he did what everybody else did, he just did it better. And he had less reps and still did more with less. That's how you get to MVP efficiency. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? I don't know why they felt the need to compare uh Jada Daniels to Lamar Jackson. That thought never even crossed my mind. I'm like, why can they not just coexist? See, Cam comes from that era. That's how Cam is dating himself. See, that's what people used to do. Now, people don't really do that anymore. You know, they look at the fact that there's four quarterbacks that make it out of the AFC and NFC. And sometimes you don't root for one team unless you're a team specific because you just happy all four of them are there, right? And then when it get down to two, you rooting for those two. I don't hear people asking, is Pat Mahomes better than Dak? I don't hear that. But I have no idea why Cam thought Lamar Jackson comparison to Jaden Daniels as if Lamar Jackson is about to leave the league. I'm like, he's not historical. He's still in the league. But I don't know his mindset. Maybe because there's something about him and he a quarterback. Maybe he see things different. I don't know. But again, Wale called him on that. And because Wale is from the DMV. So that give you perspective where Jaden Daniels is concerned. It says he's envious and it's sad to watch. It is sad. And that's what people were saying in the comments. They talking about he hate all the younger QBs. And remember how he threw Bryce Young under the bus? I for the life of me could not understand how Bryce Young played for Carolina Panthers, got sacked 60 some odd times, and Cam being done dirty in Carolina. Cam, they said he wasn't even tradable. They couldn't find a suitable trade partner for him. He act like they didn't do him dirty. He act like he has blocked that out. That's why I was surprised and proud to see that he used that language. Because when it came to Bryce Young, he attributed to his girlfriend was fooling around with everybody, and eventually it landed at Shador. And I said, aha, that's why we having this conversation. You want to tell us about Shador and somebody else because you know Shador's in a relationship. And they broke up after that. And Cam said his woman, who they on their second child together, told him, I think you a little bit too hard on Shador. And he eased up. Then he got to ESPN and he went right back to it. He can't help himself. It's like a sickness. I don't see why he's so bothered by Shador. Cam didn't grow up in poverty. I mean, I kind of get it with Cam and Shador, Cam Ward and Shador, because Cam Ward had to fight to be seen, right? And he looks at it. Shador got his dad's name, right? So that's why all that animosity, all that teasing. There's a point where teasing and making fun and jokes turn into seriousness. And I felt like Cam Ward envied Shador. And now Cam probably thinks the tables are turned. But he know he going through his own hell in Tennessee, which is why Warren Moon, when he unretired his jersey, handed it to Cam Ward and hugged him, he did bite his lip because he know the truth. And he did that behind Cam's back. So while you got paid and he didn't, y'all are really in the same place. Two of the best quarterbacks coming out are made to compete for their jobs when QB1 is inherent in the first round, which is why they locked Shador out. And people are so comfortable saying things like Shador should have a chance. He shouldn't even be competing in the first place. And that's what's lost on a lot of people. They're beginning to accept the fact that these two have to compete when JJ McCarthy was handed the keys, ranked one under Cam Ward, handed the keys, and he don't have no NFL film. But Cam has to compete. Shador has to compete. Shador just got to start further back than Cam. They both are made to compete, while Miro is made to sit. That's how you know he the best one. They ain't even willing to let him get on the field. And you know what their excuse is? Well, Seattle just paid Sam Darnold $100 million, and the unexpected can happen. That's why they trying to move him from QB2 to QB3, so he can sit for 2 years. They want to waste 2 years of this man's life because he's black and they don't want him to be QB1. That's what I see, and that's what I see in Dak Prescott. You don't hear him on any level. Mm-mm. Dak said when it came to Shador, he was asked about Shador after the draft. You know what Dak said? Essentially, what Michael Vick said. Dak said it's a machine. That's what he called it. He said it's a machine. And I'm sure, it was like it's a machine, blah, 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 blah. But when he get there, blah, 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 it's a machine. What does it mean when you say it's a machine? That there's nothing you could do about it. That it has a start button and it's gonna go the way it go, and it is nothing you could do about it till they're ready to stop. It's a machine. You know what Michael Vick said when they were talking about Brett Favre? It's rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged in favor of Brett Favre. It's rigged against him. Not because he was wrong. Yeah, he was wrong. But the NFL was wrong for taking back his signing bonus from 5 years ago and bankrupting his family. So yeah, it's rigged. It's rigged to favor people like Aaron Rodgers and not talk about the domestic violence against Danica Patrick, the allegations. It's rigged. It's rigged to let Ben Roethlisberger keep playing after he settled a lawsuit for misconduct. But then all we got to hear about is Deshaun Watson. I don't think they talking about Deshaun Watson no more. Something happened. Maybe because Shador down there, and they don't want them two talking because they don't want to talk about him no more. You don't hear nobody saying nothing about Deshaun. They ain't even mention the fact that he get married this weekend. They like don't say shit about Deshaun. It's funny how that just seems to be a conversation that don't have to be had no more. Hell, they was hating on him right up until the damn draft. They thought they wanted Shador and Deshaun together. They really did. Just like they got all these other two black quarterbacks paired up together. They just saw two black quarterbacks and said, "Hey, put them together. Put Shador where Deshaun is." You don't think they knew Deshaun already took his last snap? Of course they did. But they didn't think that they would talk, that they would help each other out. that Deshaun would take Shador under his wings, and now don't nobody have nothing to say about Deshaun because he got a story to tell, and he got somebody to tell it to. I love it. That's karma. That's karma, and that's why all of a sudden you're hearing Andrew Berry wants Manning and Stefanski wants Dylan Gabriel, which means nobody wants Shador. They traded. That's just gonna make it easy to do what needs to be done anyway. So, yep, comparison is the thief of joy. I believe people have been watching your podcast. They're always starting to talk about 17 to 32. Good, because that's what need to happen. That's what I expect to happen, because I'm going to keep saying it. When I heard the guys talking about Georgia, I was like, ask the real questions. Why is it? I even asked that question probably a year ago. I'm like that. Some little guy just signed to Alabama. He a wide receiver. I'm like, so you gonna go to Alabama after you see how they push your 5-star QB to the back of the line? See, that's what's wrong with these. That's what's wrong with the situation. You were supposed to pick one of them other schools. It didn't have to be Colorado. You should have went to another school that don't have a problem with having a black quarterback. You should not be playing football at any university that has a problem with having a black quarterback. That is the New York Giants problem, and that is Georgia's problem. So I was proud when I heard the two guys having a conversation about Georgia. Now, one guy, he said he don't know why that is that they don't have. I was like, okay, I got stuff to do, so I'm gonna have to keep pushing. But I was gonna go back to the conversation to see where it ended up and what people. I like to read the comments to see where people are. Like, are they calling him out like I am? I'm like, how you gonna sit up there when this man points out? He said Justin Fields went there. He said, but then he had to leave. And then they talked about the other guy from back in the day, how they made him do what Teddy Bridgewater did. What did Teddy Bridgewater do in Detroit when they played and Jared Goff stunk up the place? He got it back together. He pulled it together. He got the lead going. He got the game going in the right direction, and they made Teddy Bridgewater give it right back to Goff. And guess what happened? That's why I just knew Goff was out of there. But then now that I see how they like to do with the 2% battery lifers, he gonna be somewhere. Y'all talking about sending Shador to Detroit. I'm like, for what? So he could be Teddy Bridgewater and hand off the lead after he fix it, just like Michael Penix Jr.? Why do you think the Falcons, after benching Michael Penix Jr., who was also a first round draft pick, see, he was supposed to be QB1. But then they say the owner wanted Kirk Cousins. And then they let it play out. Kind of like in Cleveland. But Shador, again, that's why he's so far back. That's why Miro Barrick's so deep. Because they good. They can't be QB2. Injury alone will make them QB1. It has happened so many times. So I was proud of that conversation about Georgia because it needs to be had. These guys need to stop going to these goddamn schools and not realizing you are black and so is your quarterback. Or why? Ask the real question. Why they don't really have no black quarterbacks? One guy said it, called it out, and the other guy said, "Well, I don't know why that is." See, I can't have conversations with people like that. How the hell do you not know? How do you not know? If the two that they had to go elsewhere or was used to get the lead up and give it to a white quarterback, how do you not know? That's like somebody telling me they don't know why the New York Giants has never had a black starting quarterback, knowing that they were the last team in the league to have a black quarterback because that's what they don't want. They don't have it because they don't want it. But he said he don't know why. I can't have conversations with people like that because you choosing to be willfully ignorant. I applaud the guy who brought it all up and told us about the quarterbacks they did have. But if you want to have a real conversation, it has to be with somebody who actually has the ability to be honest. Well, damn, I never really thought about it like that. But yeah, I guess I don't know. They never really had no black quarterbacks. It don't look good. It don't look good. You have black NFL quarterbacks knocking at the door of the majority, 17 to 32. But Georgia has had how many? Two? How long they been around? Same. That's the same thing with what? The New York Giants. I will use you as a body. What do they have at Georgia? Georgia is run just like the NFL. They let their players that are not quarterbacks get in all kind of trouble. They use their bodies up, and the guys go there because they want to get drafted. If you good, wouldn't you get drafted from anywhere? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on who you are. So thank you for that, Tina. So yeah, if y'all hear people talking about it, just drop 17 to 32 in the comments. They'll get it eventually. When see, let me tell you what everybody else gonna do. They gonna wait till people like Cam, and then see Cam, he said it right. Then they gonna be like, okay, it's safe for me to say it. That's what's gonna happen. Now we know I've been saying it, but they'll look at me. For one, I'm a woman, and there are a lot of people out here who feel like women in sports they don't go together. So they take what I say with a grain of salt. But then now Cam is saying it, so they might repeat it, and then let somebody else say it. Then they gonna feel comfortable saying it. It said Cam Newton need to get off off the weed allegedly. Oh my God. Does he smoke? Hey Queen T, does he smoke? It said Cam had his turn to shine. He doesn't have the same energy for white players, right? It's a lot of people that don't. I listen to people, and I listen, and I heard a podcast today, and they were talking about one of the players kind of was like moving out the way of a groupie, and they were talking about it, right? And I noticed the girl that they were calling a groupie, she appeared to be black. Everything was moving kind of fast, and I was moving fast too. You know how you moving and you walking and you see something, and I'm fixated on enough to get through it. And I watched it twice. I said, I think the girl was black. You know what I asked the question? Would you have made this video and called her a groupie if she was white? No, they're too comfortable. And these are athletes. They too comfortable putting down women that look like them. Where do you think they got that from? The same people that want them to marry who? I don't like you and your kind, but I want you to marry her. Why? Because when you die, I'm gonna get it all back. That's why. Did anyone notice if Shador visited Cam's football camp last weekend like he did RG3's camp? I didn't know Cam had a camp. Are you talking about Cam Newton or Cam Ward? You must be talking about Cam Newton. Well, I just knew he was with RG3. I didn't even think about Cam to be honest. I think we know what's up with that. I'm not surprised if he did Miss Pamela because Cam just continuously goes in on Shador. Oh, let's see. Somebody say they saw it. It said, "Yep." It said the brotherly love showed by RG3 is what Cam Newton should be doing, right? And RG3 has a story, right? RG3 has a story. He could talk about what Cam talked about on his podcast, but there might be something stopping him from talking about it. I don't know if he would have that type of authentic conversation. With the way that he moves with the WNBA, it looks like a woman, a female thing, and it makes me ask, did your mama hurt you? Because you seem to have a thing against black women. Um, but he have all the love for Shador, right? Shador's a man, he's not a woman. So it seems to be some issue there. With black women, like somebody called him ugly in the third grade and he ain't get over it. That's what it's giving. Or his mama didn't love him. That's what it's giving. That's what it gives with him. And but I don't know if he could sit there and have the same caption and have the same truthful conversation that the NFL wants black quarterbacks to be submissive. That Cam used the word different, submissive. And people say Shadua didn't know that. He may have not. Why would anybody want that in 2025? And I think it's a lot of guys who come into the NFL, not just quarterbacks. I think there are a lot of rookies who find out every year that if you black, they think less of you. Because the guys before don't tell them that. Now, Shadua has said, I saw what my father went through. So he knows something is up. But maybe because he knew Tom Brady, he didn't expect them to expect him, Shadua, to be submissive. That could play a lot into it, right? Because Tom Brady's my mentor, so surely you're not gonna mistreat me. What did he learn? What did he learn? See, what's happening to Shadua, wow, hurtful, ugly, and all the negative adjectives you could come up with, this was necessary because he didn't see this. He had a blind spot. And not because his father was in the league, because he said it. I saw what my father went through. I know they hating on me because of my dad. Now he learning the other part. You a black quarterback. Your life ain't gonna be easy. I'm gonna get you one way or the other. I got your buddy Milrow coming out of college. I'm getting your guy Cam in the season, like I did Vince Young, like I did Steve McNair. And they gonna get you too. They don't tell these guys that. The quarterbacks that are coming in, these guys that are getting ready to come out, and y'all said Oregon and Arkansas, somebody needs to sit down and say, hey, I need you to know this ain't what you think. And they need to learn the NFL history because eventually when if they make it there, if they make it there, because the NFL seems to be on the same type of time it was on when Warren Moon had to go to Canada, which means if Shadua go, he ain't gonna be the last one. Out of the top 20, I don't even know if there are two. I think Caden is one, Lenora Sellers is another one. Surely it's got to be three, right? I said we are going to take a look at the list and see who's on it. I know I called off the names, but I want to see who's who. I want to see what they setting up because this is a setup. Just like when Shadua and Cam were rated, they weren't even in the top 5 last year, and they ended up being the top 2. It's going to be the same weight. So I want to see who they excluded. Y'all said the guy from Oregon and from Arkansas. And they probably gonna get in because they good. But you see, they already being excluded and they gotta work harder to be seen. They making it harder for black quarterbacks. They going back to Warren Moon era. Where you could come here if you want to, but we're gonna devalue you and you're gonna have to try to overcome it. You're gonna knock yourself out trying to overcome it. Well, the one thing about it is you're gonna have an intimate relationship with Christ by the time you leave there because you're gonna need to. Look at Russ and his walk. There's no way Russ could still be where he is and not have his spirituality or intimate relationship with Christ. Like he said, they can't break me. That means he know they tried and they still tried. You can't walk that walk and live under that type of abuse and not know what God allows and he not gonna take you nowhere where he, gonna leave you nowhere he take you. You have to know that. That's why Shadua's spirituality is growing. Because he ain't gonna survive if it don't. He gonna start internalizing. You know what Wale said? Wale said what we said. He already different. He already different. He said he already different. His whole the way he move and everything is just it's just real different. Yeah. Cause they getting to him. See, he don't even probably realize it wasn't just enough for this. When he started doing this everywhere he went, and the kids loved it, and the fans and everybody else, they circle back for round 2 to start hating on him again so it can get to him. And they felt like what? When he got the speeding ticket, they thought they was gonna go in incessantly. But what happened? Time ran out. Perfect timing. It's time for a break. So that's what broke that up. And now he gets some downtime. Tune all of that out. Get out of Cleveland because he needed to get out of Cleveland. Go work out somewhere else. Be somewhere else that makes you happy. He loves Miami. Hell, he could have went to Miami, but then that would be making him happy, and that's not the goal. And it's not. It's not. It's just not Shador. He's not the only one. I want to see how long it is before the media starts calling out that Cam is competing, and they all start parroting the same conversation, or are they gonna act like they don't see it, which is willfully ignorant? I want to see how long it's gonna be before they catch on to where we are. Yeah, that's 17 to 32. So what's going on with Milrow? Why is he sitting there for 2 years? I want to see how long it's going to be before they point out that his QB comps are two of the best to do it as dual threats, Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick. They ain't said it yet. You think they don't know? Of course they know. They're choosing to target Shador so you don't pay attention to what's going on with Cam Ward and Jalen Milrow. Because if they ain't talking about Shador, we gonna be asking questions. Why you not talking about the other two? Remember during the draft, people kept saying, "Why y'all don't talk about Cam?" Because they didn't want him either. Why y'all don't talk about Milrow? Because they damn sure don't want you to know who he is. I rank him as the best one. That's why he's sitting for 2 years. Shador got an opportunity to compete from five spaces back. So that tell you they know he good too. And Cam competing with the guy that failed. And his coach already putting out negative narratives about him. I'm just waiting to see if somebody else gonna see all of it and put it together and start talking about it. Because this ain't just about Shador. But it is about 17 to 32 for Shador. Queen T said, and you can say what you want. Nick Saban, in my opinion, was not for Coach Prime coming to college football. He did hate on Coach Prime, but that shows you how diplomatic Coach Prime can be. He did hate on Coach Prime. He sure did. He said Travis got paid to go, got paid $1 billion to go to Colorado. I'm assuming he figured Coach Prime went in his bank account and got it because he know he got it. So I agree, and I think there's something there where he's concerned because he even hated on Coach Prime on one of those college game day shows, and his wife was like, "What? You hating on our friend Coach Prime?" And Miss Terry, I guess that's her name. She called him on it. They got them Aflac commercials together. So if you look at that, and then what? Saban didn't want nothing to do with NIL, but now he the commissioner. Why? Because he gets to be in control. And he knew Coach Prime was good and was going to offer some competition. And he didn't want to deal with other schools competing for his talent. But he willing to sit on the commission and control the money that he didn't want to be bothered with. That tell you everything you need to know right there. It also shows you how diplomatic Coach Prime is. So he probably gonna be right there at the start. In my opinion, NFL is like a secret sorority society. They probably took an oath to be loyal. They took something. The owners for sure are. They so damn close. The owners is what they say incestuously close. They do everything together. And I'm like, that becomes a time when that whole incestuously close goes from I can collude with you or I can collude against you. Right? In the case of the new owner of the Denver Broncos, when Russell left Seattle and went to Denver, and he thought he could make his own decisions, and he found out he got to do what they want to do. I can collude against you if you don't do what we say, or I can collude with you. You can't give him that money and not right now because they all gonna want it. Somebody sent me a statement that Bob McNair, who was the owner of the Texans around the time of the Kaepernick protest, the kneeling, said we can't have the inmates running the prison. Was he not forced to sell his team after that? Because that should have been it for him. That's what you think they are, inmates? You think the NFL is a prison system? Was he forced to sell his team? Does he still own the team? Coach Prime, in spite of the NFL debacle, he has to have tact and diplomacy. He got to be an example for his team. Yep, he gonna be diplomatic. That's why I said you gonna see it, and if you see it already, the same is going to apply. I know he had to sit down and think about how I'm gonna navigate forward. He probably gonna look at it, guys. Timing. I just got this contract, which means I'm supposed to still do this. So how is it that I'm supposed to still be the coach and get these guys to a league after how they treated me? Not just treated his son in his program, him. And we know he can be diplomatic, and that's what it's gonna take. Did anyone mention Jimmy Horn Jr. in South Florida also? Huh? Oh no, I didn't know. Jimmy Horn Jr. is back in South Florida. Last time I saw Jimmy, he was on vacation somewhere, and he ran into Gilly. So he back. I haven't seen him. I was looking for Lejante and his girlfriend. I haven't seen them. I know they went shopping in Annapolis, but I haven't seen them since. It's called adjustment disorder. Both Cam and RG3 are toxic in some way. Cam, what? Oh, Cam trashes Shador and RG3 bashes the WNBA players. They both want to be in the NFL. Maybe that's what it is. That could be it because both of their careers got cut short. Both of their careers got cut short. So there's some envy there, right? And maybe with RG3, it's just envious of athletes, period. I don't know what the hell his issue is, but I'm happy to see him be nice to Shador, but he got to get it together. So yeah, I mean that's what it is, right? Um, Big 12 Pro Day coming up. We know Coach Prime has the skill of diplomacy. We think he'll be there. It is interesting that it's in Dallas, but that could be because the Big 12 Pro Day was there and they probably put that all together. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Coach Prime friend, who's the head coach at Texas Tech, wanted to play a spring game, but Texas Tech and Colorado at the Star. So they was talking about going back to the Star. So uh, maybe that'll happen. But you see what happened when two black head coaches tried to do something, right? Something that other coaches wanted to do, that other coaches have called out. Why is it that baseball and all other sports have this? They scrimmage against other people. Why are we scrimmaging in house? That's a valid point. That's a very valid point. I think it might have been Clemson's coach that asked that question or called it out. Then OSU coach said, "Yeah, we want to do it too. We was thinking of charging money and raising money for NIL." I was like, "See," but the fact that Coach Prime and the coach in Syracuse, Coach Fran Brown, brought it up, it got vetoed. All you got to do is look at the NCAA committee and see if football makes all the money. The majority of the players are black. Why is there no black men on this committee? Not one. They have shut them out entirely. So we're gonna get ourselves out of here. We are 1 hour and 19 minutes in. Tomorrow's a holiday, so just turn notifications on. We'll see if something interesting takes place. We'll pop up and talk about it. Um, then again, I just might want to chit chat. I did put out a members only video. I hope members y'all had a chance to watch it. There's good engagement in the comment section. Feel free to keep it going. I'm in there too. Um, and I'll see y'all probably sometime tomorrow or probably Saturday. Depends on what happens tomorrow. And yes, that was in 2018 when Bob McNair said that. Just imagine he said that openly. And when the owners alone, what they say together, it's probably, yeah. And Queen T, here's the thing, right? That's what people are saying. Will the Discovery show what they call it, a racially charged tirade about taking Shador off the board? So there you go. All right, we're gonna get out of here, everybody. This was good. This was good. So we know we have the Big 12 Pro Day to look forward to in terms of Colorado next week. The pro buffs are still off. I don't know if y'all noticed, but in the video I made, Xavier Weaver, I put some information about him in there. So I'm proud of him as well. And we'll just be back and see what's up. Make sure your notifications are on. I haven't heard anybody say they're not getting the notifications, so that's good. Keep your notifications on. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. Enjoy the 4th. Thank you. Y'all have a good time as well. If you want to share your plans and you excited about it, put it in the comments. And we can keep the comments going after, keep the conversation going after the live stream ends if you want to share. If you want to share. Otherwise, have a happy 4th of July, notifications on just in case of breaking news. I'll see y'all for sure on Saturday, but I might pop up tomorrow. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Be sure to join our daily live stream and listen up to What She Said Sports on the go on Spotify. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Stay for another video.